Have you ever felt totally misunderstood? Judged by some label that you never even asked for? We're about to dive into a classic fable that gets right to the heart of that feeling, but with a pretty fascinating twist. This is the story of the cursed deer. We already knew. Just imagine hearing those words whispered about you. Right from the jump, that's what the community says. Not with sympathy, but with this cold, certain judgment. This one line just immediately paints our hero as an outcast, someone who's already blamed for a tragedy before her story has even really started. And that, right there, is the big question we're tackling. What if the very thing that brings all this shame and forces you out is actually a hidden gift? We're going to break this story down using the framework of the hero's journey to see exactly how a so-called curse can actually be a destiny. So let's meet our hero. This is Minaki, a doe living in what should be a perfectly ordinary world. But her reality? Yeah, it's anything but. It's totally defined by this awful pattern, this supposed curse that just follows her everywhere and has cut her off from everyone she knows. This number, it's everything. This isn't a one-time accident. It's not some weird coincidence. 3 times Minaki has gotten married, and 3 times tragedy has struck. The contrast here just couldn't be more dramatic. We're not talking about something subtle. This is a massive overnight transformation. Healthy, vibrant deer marry Minaki, and literally the next day, they are completely paralyzed. For the community, this is all the proof they need. It's undeniable evidence that just fuels their fear and their blame. And you can bet the community's reaction is, well, it's swift and it is brutal. They don't see a grieving wife, they see a walking source of misfortune. They label her manhus, which means cursed. And this isn't just a nickname. It becomes her entire identity, not just in their eyes, but eventually, even in her own. So this all leads to a classic stage in the hero's journey, the call to adventure. But for Minaki, this isn't some exciting call she's eager to answer. The judgment of her community forces her hand. She gets banished, and this exile is the thing that, without her knowing it, sets her on a path to discovering who she truly is. And just listen to how they frame it. It's positioned as this noble sacrifice she has to make for the greater good. The other animals command her to leave, making it sound like it's totally necessary to protect everyone else from her. It's a textbook case of a group defining an outsider just to make themselves feel safe. So at this point, she's completely bought into their story. She doesn't fight back, she doesn't argue, she just believes them. She accepts that she is the problem and leaves in total despair, fully convinced that she really is cursed. After getting kicked out, a totally heartbroken Minaki wanders into a new forest, a place called Blue World. And it's here, at her absolute lowest point, that she runs into the one character who holds the key to changing her entire destiny. In pretty much every hero's story, a mentor shows up to offer some kind of wisdom. For Minaki, it's a mother doe whose own son has been paralyzed since birth. But she isn't afraid of Minaki. In fact, she's been waiting for her. And here it is, the bombshell. It turns out a goddess had revealed a prophecy. A doe, one that others thought was cursed, was actually destined to show up and heal this mother's son through marriage. All of a sudden, Minayaki's entire painful history is reframed. It's not some random curse, but a path laid out by fate. This is the ultimate test. It's what the hero's journey calls the ordeal, the moment of greatest fear. Minaki has to confront her identity as a curse head on. She has to get married again, knowing that every single time she's done this, it's led to paralysis. She has to trust a prophecy over her own painful experience. And so, the wedding happens. Can you just imagine the tension in the air? Everyone is just holding their breath, waiting to see if that curse is going to strike one more time.
That moment right after. Everyone's watching, waiting. Is he going to collapse? Is this tragic pattern going to repeat itself yet again?
It's a miracle. The prophecy was real. The paralyzed son tries to stand up, and he does. He's completely healed. The curse has worked in reverse. The very same thing that caused paralysis has now cured it. And this is where it all clicks into place. It turns out her curse was never a curse at all. It was a protective mechanism.
Fate was literally stepping in, paralyzing her previous husbands to keep her on the right path, to guide her toward the one deer she was truly destined to heal. Her greatest shame was actually her greatest power in disguise.
So, now that she's armed with this new understanding, Minakieki starts her road back. That's another stage of the journey where the hero returns to their old world with new wisdom. She goes back to her old forest, not as a shamed outcast, but as this enlightened figure who finally understands her true gift.
And her first act is just pure redemption and power. She finds her 3 former husbands, who are still paralyzed. She simply touches them with her tail, and just like that, they're all healed, standing on their own 4 feet again. You can imagine the community is just floored. They see this miracle happen, and all their years of judgment just crumble in an instant. They finally see the truth, and they beg for her forgiveness, finally acknowledging their terrible, isolating mistake.
So Minaki's journey is finally complete, and she doesn't stay in the old forest that shamed her. She goes back to Blue World with her new family, where she's celebrated for her gift and finally gets to live with the honor and respect she always deserved.
And this really brings us to our final thought, a question for all of us. Minagi's story forces us to ask, how much power do we give to the labels that society puts on us? Her journey shows that maybe, just maybe, our true identity, our destiny, is something far greater than the story that other people tell about us.